Yeah, we could take our time.
What up, y'all? We back. This is Audio Amigos, LunchMoney Lewis. To the right of me, we got Andrew Bolooki, producer, uh, songwriter, and vocal tech extraordinaire. He is our tech guy on the Audio Amigos. He will let you know what chains to use and when your shit whack and it sounds like caca. We got J Mike, live from Baltimore, a fan of the worst NBA team in history. Besides that, he's a hit producer, billions of streams, Nicki Minaj, the whole world. From the streets of Boca Raton, we have our brother Phil Fever, also hit producer, hit songwriter. And we are the Four Amigos. We are in the month of May. That means summer is approaching. Do we have any songs of the summer yet? I don't think so.
Nah.
Anything?
Nothing on the 3 Drake albums.
It's good for the genre, man. Let's all put out music.
It's overwhelming to me when these artists put out 30, 40, 50 songs all at once. It's so much. It's like watching the Titanic to listen to the album.
It's a lot to digest in one go. But as
does
we
it
know,
go towards the importance of song curation when it comes to albums, though, because it's like it doesn't feel like somebody put that much effort into it if you're just pushing it all out. But if you put together an album before, you know how tough that process is to like cut some of the kids off.
I always say the first week skim. It takes a while to know if something's good. But on my first little go-throughs, it definitely sounds like it could have been concise to one album, but it was a purpose. You trying to get out that deal. I'm finna drop these 3 little Jones right here. Get ready for the whole, they whole beef to be done. I'm over it. It's over. Let's just make good music. We said studio rules.
Studio rules? Just be a pro. Always add value. If you're not adding value, excuse yourself.
How do you feel about, I've been in these scenarios where you're working with the artist and they got the A&R homeboy, A&R homegirl, and that are judging your tracks as if they are the artist. How do you feel about when artists bring +1s or +2s that feel more entitled to the session process than they should?
I mean, as long as you're in control of the session, they can say whatever they want, but I can just delete whatever the fuck afterwards, and I have no problem doing that.
I feel that.
How do you feel about when you play music for A&Rs, the pet peeve looking in the phone while you're playing music type?
I mean, that's like judging somebody's face when they open up a present or something like that. It's not really for everybody. Ingests things in their own way. Sometimes it's just a nervous like habit.
I hate that shit. I'm gonna keep it, but as soon as I see an A&R or any body managers start looking at their phone, I'm already like, I don't give a fuck what you think. I'm ready to leave immediately. I'll be like, you know what? All right.
It takes away the specialness and the value of what this intimate moment is, bro. Like when somebody, like you're here to listen. Yo, it used to be days where A&Rs will buy beats on the spot, bro. Like you would play a beat for an A&R. I need that beat right now. You're not leaving here. A&Rs used to move like that. So to go from that to like seeing A&R, you going there and you playing your rockets, your biggest songs, to them like looking down on the phone when we both trying to change each other's lives is just,
they do that shit on purpose.
It's like a power dynamic. That's it. We both want the same thing. You and the A&R, y'all allegedly want the same thing, is to get the best record possible. So you're both not wasting your time 100%. In the meeting,
At the same time, though, I mean, imagine if, and not to play devil's advocate, but if you were an A&R person, knowing that you're also the person that's like, you're essentially setting the budget, how much money this person can get paid for this beat and the value of it. If you go too crazy, we're going to charge double. If you act like you don't care, then they're going to be like, all right, well, I'll give you both of these for the same price, whatever.
But if you look at back in them days, like if you come into Timberland and the Neptunes or anybody of that, you come into David Fur, these expensive shit. I don't care how you
buddy.
This price ain't budging, bitch. This is 50. I don't care if you tap dance, if you open your phone. I don't give a fuck. Bolooki getting that same vocal production price. I don't care how you act.
Oh yeah.
But you've dealt with it a lot. Even also, I can imagine Bolooki on the vocal production side, because that's why I want to shine light on that, because you're also a vocal producer, and that's a very tedious job. A lot of people don't understand, go into that.
That's an unfortunate thing that no matter who you do it with or what it's for, it always takes the same amount of attention and time, almost always. And like a lot of times when I would get hired to do that, it's just me and the artist, and I've just been given a 2-track, and I'm expected to turn in something that sounds completely finished. Like
From the
there's no
demo.
chance- Yeah, from the demo. So there's no. It needs to sound like a finished record from what they've supplied me, which is just an instrumental, and I had to make everything else.
Yeah.
In those cases, it doesn't matter what their budget is. I'm getting what I charge, or you're not getting it back.
Due to the work.
It is what it is. Yeah.
Well,
because-
vocal production is the most important part of any record.
It is, and it's not
Amen
always
to that.
necessary, but the times that it is necessary, you're a hired specialist to get this record done, and it is what it is. Like
It's like
there's a
hiring a
budget for
certain
it.
doctor. It's like you
Yeah.
go to a heart doctor, but
You're a
then you go to
specialist.
the doctor that specializes in valves.
Yeah.
And then you need like a heart valve. You need like a heart valve. That's kind of like what a vocal producer is like. We could like work on the heart, but we got to go to a specialist so he could like deliver.
And
that
if you think
top
about it too,
performance.
you get maybe 4 or 5 hours to get it done, and that's it. There's no going back to rent the studio and actually get everybody back there. If you need, if somebody needs to change a lyric or something, that's not my problem. But
Yeah.
if the material's there and you need to just get the job done, that's an extremely, extremely high pressure situation. Especially also too, most of the time, I heard the song for the first time on the way there or in the room with the person.
That's
So
interesting.
like, you just got to do the best you can, but you have to have a level of experience that knows that how much material you need to collect. You need to psychologically trick the artist into doing more than what they're supposed to be doing, things that they think are useless, but you know that you're going to have a use for them later. You'll be their friend all at the same time. Like that acapella is arguably more valuable than the music because the acapella can be used in multiple genres, remixes. It can go all
100%.
over the place, but the track is just going to
point.
be that one version. EDM, if I've helped a DJ with vocal stuff, that I have to put in the contract that my acapella follows my acapella because they'll make 9 different versions of it. And my part never changed.
I
You
love
did that good of a job. They basically could take your work
And
and make
remixes.
Right.
10 different UPCs out of it.
Phil, what's your biggest pet peeve?
I mean, when people are looking at their phones and not engaged. When you pull up to a session, had just ordered food, and the food comes in, and they didn't even ask you if you wanted anything.
Like you knew I was coming, bro.
There's been so many times that someone will order some delicious, Greek food or bread.
Something
Oh my
delicious.
God, I didn't eat because I wanted to get there on time and be there. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I
Right.
figure you get in, you get a vibe, you talk, you figure out what's what, and then you kind of handle that stuff together. And it's one thing if you eat before, of course, but when you show up to the meeting or to the session, and then a minute later the food comes in, and
That's a serious thing though, because they don't really feed us. Like
Nah.
when you think about coming to work
on.
for an artist or coming and work for a label or coming to work, you're coming to work, right?
Mhm.
Work, it's a lunch break. You know what I mean? I guess in jobs you have to provide your lunch, but you would think for as strenuous as our shit is, at least you could give us a small, like some sandwiches,
Something.
some water. We don't even
Bro.
need water. We don't even got, unless we go to
Nothing.
a big studio, we don't got like no type of fruit trays or nothing. We
Man,
in there,
studio food that's a big topic, and
100%.
this going back to vocal, like having to vocal track and always be like the guy in the captain's chair, so to speak, like running the session. The timing of when the people in the room eat, their sugar crashes, and then going comatose if they ordered the wrong food afterwards
100%.
because they're just dumb and not thinking about maybe you shouldn't order a vat of spaghetti at 1 p.m. when we haven't even written the song yet. Like, that's
to
not
get
a
the
good
vocals,
idea.
You're already putting that strain on you. It's just
Well, that's when you, as the person running the session, you can't be telling other adults when and how they can eat and what they can eat, but you have to kind of get the flow going to the point where nobody thinks about food until
100%.
you get the bulk of that information into the microphone.
because that's to me. I saw the Dream say something the other day that was very important. He was like, he's the producer because he talked about working on that record on the J album, with that Justin Timberlake did. I forgot how the record goes, but it was a dope record on I think it was like the 2 albums ago from Jay, Holy Grail. And he was like, he was like, yo, I did the chords, I wrote the chorus, and then that's what they had originally, and then they gave it to Tim. Shout out to Tim, and he did the drums and stuff. But he was like, at the end of the day, like, the drums are not a part of the composition. He was saying, like, the composition is the chords and the music and the words and the melody, so he was like, in a certain time in music, like a Quincy Jones, Quincy he said that if something goes wrong, it would have been my fault. So he said whoever gonna get the blame at the end of the day should be the person who is actually the producer of the record. Because if you did drums, but if this record coming out and don't do nothing, or the person they're gonna call, they're not gonna call the guy who did the kick and the snare. They're gonna call like who wrote the song, who okayed the mix, who sat through the so whoever should get the blame probably should get paid the most.
Yeah, someone said this one time, and I definitely agree with it, that the simplest way to describe the producer's role is that they are the one who's responsible for basically making sure the record doesn't suck.
100%. And sees it through. That's everything.
Especially you think of all the years of how production changed, and now the beat makers are producers now, and you add
what I'll say,
a kick and snare, and you know what I mean. And back then, people like Rick Rubin, who don't add any kicks or snares, but their artistic vision is what is brought to life.
But that was production at one point, though.
Yeah.
Now we got loop makers.
Now we have loop. That's what hip hop kind of introduced, the track value of rap. You know what I mean? Like the track guy. When it really in the 70s and the 80s and those times, the great Tom Bell and Quincy Jones and all these people, they didn't play anything. They played instruments, but it was more, I wrote this orchestration. I got some guys to play it. I got the artist to cut it. We got it mixed and they put it out. It's my record. You know what I mean? That was the, but through time
they were big on work for hires back then, and
for
people
sure
were big on signing them and moving on with their day.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, I mean, it's mostly like the lawyers of a loop maker, for example. Yes, you're entitled to some part of the master. Does that mean that you're a producer? Not necessarily, because like you guys said, you're not going to call that the loop maker to do fucking anything. You might hit him again and be like, hey, you got any more loops? But you don't need to be there.
And if you give you a loop and the song flops, ain't nobody gonna say nothing to him. It's our fault. It's my fault.
No, because there was very low risk in just firing off 30 files to somebody and then moving on to the next part of your day.
100%.
When there's a lot of risk and a lot of, if somebody takes a big risk on their reputation being on a record, then they deserve the big reward.
Hell yeah. 100%.
They got the relationships they can build with the artist, all that stuff.
I will say though, Spotify actually, I know they're the enemy and all, but they actually finally them catching up with how they're doing credits now is very, very helpful, because now everything I've done on every song and for all of us, it's actually displayed correctly. And all you really wanted was that screenshot of your name being on there. So before, I had to force my way onto DSP crediting as a producer, even if I wasn't a producer, just so my name would come up, because otherwise you're completely lost in the sauce in Spotify. But now that they're actually listing people, like if you look on a lot of the rap,
they're listing you by everyone, by job, everything.
But there's being specific on co-producer now, and that's a very good distinction for them to make.
Provider.
However, whatever you want to call it, but saying someone's a co-producer means they worked with the producer.
Mm-hmm. People walk around now, they're going to be like, I'm the loop provider.
Which is okay. Your name's on it, whatever.
Yeah, I'm the looper.
But I think there's going to be less games being played with credits.
100%.
As long as everyone's displayed.
Yeah, no, people just want, everybody at the end of the day want their credit, we're all good. And it's good that people will get what they deserve. Let's move on though. I'm going to go to Phil. I want to ask Phil a question. Mikey wrote out. Let's clap it up for Mikey. He wrote some great topics out for us today. Can we get a little small clap from Mike? Is there a clapping sound effect that we could get or something?
Hey, next episode.
Okay, next episode. I like this one. Gym, sleep, and routines as survival tools. Phil's big. We're all here. Don't let the size fool you.
We exert a lot of energy, even if we're sitting in a chair in front of a computer. We're exerting a lot of energy. You got to have, you got to pay attention to the health of your brain and the health of your body to be able to be able to exert the energy that we do. The mental energy is still energy,
100%.
I definitely think that, it's hard to do, maybe when you're young, you hear stories all the time of like, rock and rollers who were partying all night and not sleeping for days. And they're, on such and such substance, and they made this you know, Kurt Cobain or whoever. But in order to have a long career in what we do, you gotta, you know,
Take care of yourself.
prioritize taking care of yourself for sure.
Get some sleep.
Sleep is big. Sleep is big.
And
Sleep to
Can I
me
chime-
is the biggest thing.
can I chime in on this?
Oh, 100%.
Of course.
The fucking floor is open, buddy.
So it's like I think just like how LeBron spends $1 million a year on his body, us as music people, we have to spend a considerable amount of money on our mental health, because literally our brain is what made us all millions of dollars. It's about how we feel. So like I spend
Millions
money
of
on
dollars again before you keep going.
what?
Say millions of dollars again before you keep going.
Our brain is what our thoughts is what caused us to make millions of dollars in this music industry and millions of dollars for these record labels. So it's like we have to be sharp. You know, that's all we got. It's like a thought that comes to our brain that ends up making it to the radio and being able to follow through. So like I do therapy, I do somatic therapy, I do float tanks, I do oxygen lights, I do working out is a big thing for stress relieving, like meditating, breath work, like all that stuff adds into you, because like it's been times I walk into the studio and I'm like had this feeling or intention like, yo, I'm gonna make the biggest record of this person's life, and I'll do it, you know, just from being in a good mental state, physical state, and being the best person I could be and being the best health that I could put myself in. It helped me to go into the studio and deliver, you know. 100%. So like that's a big thing. And like, you know, a lot of people find other vices that they might think can get them through, but those aren't, you know, long term, and those can like end up damaging your brain. So definitely, like producers, we need routines. But if you're in music, you need a routine, and you need things away from music. Go travel. I travel all the time. Sometimes you gotta just cut the computer off. Like it's a lot of things that go into you actually being a better musician that don't even really got to do with this before you even cut your computer on or start singing or playing an instrument.
100%.
I mean, in my opinion, the goal and, you know, probably the hardest thing in industry like the music industry is having longevity, being able to do this for a long time. There's a lot of people that will pop up and have quick success and then fall off or whatever, but you know, it's pretty rare that people are able to survive for, you know, a really long period of time doing this. And the only way I think to do that is to, you know, be able to be in a, you know, healthy mental state and
absolutely
be able to retain.
I think it was bigger. I think that's more focused in our generation. I think the generation before, oh man, I'm going again. I think in our generation, it's more health is more prioritized, definitely amongst the industry. I think we've seen a lot of rock and roll artists OD, even though some of these kids are still on perks running around sipping lean. But I will say, at least as far as music makers, the writers, the producers, we're definitely more. I know more people who are more health focused now than they ever were.
All of us are.
You know, yeah, all of us. So I mean, of course, we're all, you know, we're saying we're getting old, but I see a lot of younger artists also taking care of their health, you know, going to the gym. I think that's what makes superstars. That's definitely what made, you know, they talk about like artists singing on the treadmill, like Beyonce singing on the tread, you know, that training of being able to perform for 2-3 hours, singing live and dancing, like, you know, like, and it's the same thing for the studio, where I always say we're in a contact sport, you know, the music industry, the mental gymnastics, the wear and tear of your mind more than anything can affect how you work. So, I mean, it ain't always about being shredded. You know, everybody wants to be shredded and look like Bolooki, you know what I mean? But for the most part, because he's just the shredder, you know what I mean? But at least prioritizing our health, you know, and just feeling good, hitting the gym, hitting the sauna, the cold plunge, you know, taking your vitamins, you know, taking your sea moss, like keeping your health up. You know, even I could speak, you know, being a big guy, you know, most of my career, my camera's off, but I'm still a big guy. You know what I mean? Like being glorified for being fat. You know, it's a good segue into our Lizzo versus Atlantic situation. People love you big sometimes. You know, like Luther was big and Chris Farley. You know, we've seen Chris Farley, we've seen Big Pun. I remember Jonah Hill. Remember when he lost all that weight? Everybody kind of attacked him at first, like, you're not going to be funny anymore because you're skinny. But it's like, damn, you want a motherfucker to die to make you laugh?
Big though, because exercise routines just aren't for everybody. But the one thing as musicians and creators, like the routine of all the things outside the studio that lead up to you going to the studio are super important, regardless.
And it builds
regimen. It comes
regimen.
down to like taking vitamins, drinking water before you go to sleep, whatever it might be. But there's definitely a correlation for if you start your Monday by prepping on Sunday, you're going to be working 10, 20% better that whole week. Curveball decisions you got to make through the week, whether it's a split on a song or just how you interact with people. I don't get enough sleep, and I will just viciously be a dickhead. If I get 8 hours, I'm good, clear-headed, making smart decisions, thinking about how it's going to affect my relationship a year from now. Where like, I just kind of steamrolled relationships that I had that were actually very beneficial, but it all had to do with lack of sleep.
But let's segue into this Lizzo versus Atlantic.
So Lizzo basically, she's feeling like Atlantic is betraying her. In her own words, she said, "I don't know, but I'm crashing out on my label right now. I feel like there's not any marketing money being put towards my in 2026, unless you're a brand new artist or someone no one's ever heard of and is getting recognized. It's really hard to cut the F through." She continued, "I have people who want to buy my album, but how they gonna buy it if they don't know it's for sale?" So she says the rollout for her B-TCH comes out after Lizzo faced some allegations. So yeah, man, I think it's crazy. Like we're watching. Oh, my bad. Let me get us back to the old screen. Yeah. Sorry about that. Boom. Yep, still figuring it out. But I think we're in like a crazy time with artists. We're watching major artists. The thing that made them special in an attempt to like survive the algorithm is not really like panning out. Like Lizzo cut through because she was incredible, huge vocals, that gospel influence, her live instrumentation, incredible on the flute, her funk musicianship and all her records, and her big personality, you know? And so it's like, it's kind of tricky to me because I know that she put out like some viral, like her last attempt was like really to be viral and make kind of like, she kind of went out of her, what I felt her comfort zone into making like pivot towards like viral rap songs, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's just like, and when you do, it's weird. I feel like the algorithm is punishing maturity, you know, like polished musicians doesn't guarantee your reach no more, you know, like even like being emotionally involved in loving your music is like, that doesn't always outperform memes, and labels choose these attention spikes. They want you to go viral. They want you to keep posting all this content instead of like living like how Lizzo says she had all these great ideas at a meeting and they didn't do none of them. So they don't want to live in your artist world no more.
And it's crazy.
They just want they just want you to be in this attention thing. And then, you know, it's not just Lizzo, like, you know what I'm saying? Like you got biggest pop stars in the world are spending their time one in the studio nowadays. We've been seeing it's like, yo, is this song gonna go viral? They're chasing TikTok sounds, and everyone is shortening their songs and shortening their art. We got fewer bridges, and you know the big line, which I grew up in this school of, don't bars get to the chorus, but they even getting there even faster now, you know. So it's like the internet, it just rewards this like immediacy and not necessarily craftsmanship anymore. And I think that's where a lot of our
artistry.
That's why a lot of our artists is getting stuck. You know, it's like it's a very tricky place to be, man, because it's like it moves hourly.
After your first initial, so like Lunch, what you were saying, like some people are celebrated in the version of them that we were introduced to, and then as soon as they move from that, things start not working out their way, whether they changed their sound, they started looking different, they act different, they got rid of people around them, you know, as they switch producers, whatever, they start mature. But we call it maturing. It's really just changing. Mm-hmm. But is it every label's responsibility? I'm not like siding with the labels here, but you know, it's they care about numbers. It's business. They got to keep the bank account going. They don't really care about your feelings. So is it on them to support your experiments, because that's not what they invested in when they signed you. They signed you to a 2, 3, whatever, how many albums, but they expected you to do that multiple times. And that's what they signed you for.
I mean, it's a tricky space to me.
It is.
Right?
I'm not saying that people shouldn't do it, but
because it's like Lizzo has proved herself. You know, Lizzo has shown that she could dance on the big stage. You know, she's done well as an artist, and I think artistry, I think it's I think every artist goes through this, like where you've won on a I think this is the, to me it always goes to like a wave when you're an artist. Everyone loves you, then everyone doesn't love you, and then you got to make them love you again. You know, that's the whole point. It's like, and I think Lizzo's going, as a fan of hers, and you know, of course, all our friends that were there, every artist goes through this situation, like, and I think she's gonna be fine. You know, I think it's just, you know, and of course, there's always that at that moment, because as every artist, you have your passion project, you know, like your thing that you want to make, and I think if you prove yourself, you should, everyone should be allowed to have their art moment of like, it's what I want to make. You know, her last project, she wanted to make some ratchet shit. You know, she wanted to make some fun. She's listening to Sexy Red and listening to Pluto and listening to these girls, and she want to go make some shit like that. I think people saw her as, and the space that she's in, I could relate to the space. It's a very pop space. It's a very top 40 space. And when you are in that top 40 space and you're kind of also like a black artist, it's like very different. And then you go back to making some fun outside ratchet shit. You know, some of the young 5 to 50 fans might be like, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? Like, we want to hear Same Damn Time and all these songs. And I think she shouldn't really, if I could give her a vibe, be like, just like ride the wave out and make some more music. You know what I mean? Like, because the labels, like you say, they want to win. We know labels are in the business of winning. They're in the business of making money. They want artists. If every artist they put out could make money, they would love that, because that would make them money. You know what I mean? It's a business that they take a gamble on things, but I don't think they're missing. I mean, Lizzo probably makes them tons of money. You know what I mean? I think it's just, she's just in a different space, and she probably just got to make more music. And this tug of war always happens because labels never understand passion projects. They're not in the business of passion. You know, they're in the business of finance and stock and return. You know what I mean? Yeah, they're not really into like, oh, the artistic value. You know what I mean? And that's the game we chose to be in. But I think Lizzo's talented enough, and she always works with great people, and I think they're gonna figure it out. I think this is like some common shit that happens. I've had problems with labels. We've all been through, mad at our publishers, mad at our labels. At the end of the day,
same thing. A lot of artists,
they want to make money. Publishers want to make money. That's why they sign 100,000 things, because they're hoping 5, 6 of them pay for everything. You know what I mean? They sign. How many writers does Sony have? You know what I mean? How many writers does these publishing companies have? You know what I mean? There's thousands of people signed to these, as far as staff, producers, and what do they want? You think if any of us made a hit tomorrow, they wouldn't be calling us like we invented something brand new?
You know how it goes.
Yeah, we know how it go. That phone start ringing again. You know what I mean?
Hot.
Like
Phil,
like Phil got a facelift, for he don't use the same equipment he been using for the last fucking.
Right.
You know, it's just it's the nature, or the thing that is always shocking to me is like when artists, like when we all get into that mode or we're mad, and it's like, this is normal shit. These people don't give a fuck till they give a fuck. You know what I mean? They can't afford to. You know what I mean? Because while that said person is upset with their situation, other person is selling records and streaming and touring, and you know what I mean? Like,
it's
everyone,
tough because they're, you know,
everyone loves a winner.
We always need a bag. We need a big direct deposit, but they need their salary to continue. We're on 2 different levels of compensation.
Yeah, you got people who are working. They're working for the company. The what do they say when you work for a company? It's your for fiduciary obligation to do what's best for the company. You know, that's why I don't even. I've had A&Rs. I'm not even gonna say who, but I've like been signed, and my project isn't where it needs to go because of said issue. And the person that been signed me and rolling with me for this long, I can't even get on the phone.
Right.
You know, I get on the phone with them and they say something like, there's nothing we can do about it. It's like a doctor when he tells you like there's nothing, you know, when they come out the room and you sitting there, there's nothing. They come out like there's nothing we can do for you.
Sorry.
You just got to die. Like, you just got to, and look, I can't do nothing either, because I'm gonna lose my job. Like, you know what I mean?
Do you think, say how like Bruno Mars, right? Bruno Mars, if you look at his, from when we first were introduced to him to now, he's tried multiple different things, but they're all kind of in the same. It's still Bruno Mars. You know what I mean? He's still a hit maker. He still has that amazing voice, amazing entertainer. But even when he went on a side tangent with Silk Sonic, they cleaned the fuck up, but he named it something different. And I feel like sometimes when artists, you know, they have a stage name, but then no one's telling you can't come up with another persona and do the best for that persona. I guess it depends on, you know, the type of deal you signed as to whether or not you're going to get financial backing.
CeeLo,
exactly.
And Gnarls Barkley.
But that calling it that gave you kind of a license and a reset with fans to not expect the same thing. So if
you got to train your fans. You have to train your fans to know. You know, my favorite example of that is when Kendrick put out Good Kid, Mad City, which is probably one of the greatest hip hop entries, in my opinion. I put it up there with the Doggy Style, like first albums.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what a first album. And then to drop To Pimp a Butterfly after that, which was like a jazz influence, you know, LA funk soul rap album. And everyone was like, what is this? Because you wanted another, but he trained you at that moment. I might drop some shit that you don't understand what the fuck is happening. And if you don't train your fans for that, when you do come out of nowhere with a project, like what, you know, what Lizzo put out on her last project, it could shock people. But at the end of the day, it's good because you're teaching your fans. I'm not always going to give you what you want. You know, I'm not cooking pasta tonight.
How much of that, that training or that fan expectation do you think is on the label to help the artist?
This is when you got to care about artistry. This is when and maybe that's why TDE is great, because Punch and those people allow their artists to care about artistry. Doechie's not worried about anything. Neither is SZA. They do strange projects and songs all the time. But if you don't allow an artist to be an artist, and I think
I expect them to put out something.
You expect them to put out something and be like, what the fuck? And I like that Lizzo put out something like that. That was like, I'm ratchet today. I'm ghetto. I want to do some hood shit. Like, I'm allowed to.
And it's crazy how like now labels are making the internet do basically their jobs. Like they throw all these appetizers out and then they see who eats what, and whoever, you know, whatever plate that everybody ate off of, they go press the button on that. So it's not like hard feelings a lot of times. Like when these songs come out, they're going to put the bag behind it if it's working. Like labels were built for radio, retail, and Phil, chime in. I'm wondering, like,
well, labels hate
Phil,
taking
risks.
Sit
there with your fucking thumb in your ass, buddy.
I'm letting you guys talk. I'm letting you guys get your rocks off.
Get it.
You know, cooking.
Cook with it. Get your rocks off with it. Jerk with us, bro.
About the monoculture and like,
let's go.
Well, first of all, you never know the real story when it comes to her and dealing with her label. There's always going to be, you know, multiple sides of the story. But in terms of what we know about the music industry today, is that labels hate taking risks. They want to put money in gas things that are taking on a life of its own that go viral. It's interesting that she said that. You know, remember a few months ago, 6 months ago or so, she gave this whole speech about how new artists have an advantage over, you know, artists who have been around.
Yeah,
for
who
a
are
long
more
time.
bigger, more established artists.
And she said that again in the statement that Mikey just read here. She said, unless you're a newer artist. And I don't know that I agree with that necessarily either, because, you know, there's millions and millions of newer artists and only a few of them, you know, you only hear about the ones that catch fire and start popping
have the market share, who can pay for the market
but
share.
It's all about like starting that fire. Wherever there's fires burning, you can bet that there's a label, an industry guy who's ready to put gasoline on
100%.
that fire, you know, and
100%.
you can't, you know, it's easy to blame the label for the lack of a fire. And
it just means stuff didn't work. But at the end of the day too, it's like, I don't think it's really changed from when you were, you know, when you used to work records to DJs and they used to make remix at one point in I would say in the hip hop and like R&B space, you make a record and then you would make a record with a rapper on it for the DJ in the club, and they would work that said record. And if the record didn't work, they needed to make like that's why there was remixes, because we need a remix for the club, you know, like let's put this person on it, let's put Wayne on this to use it so we could get DJs to, you know, let's call Jermaine Dupri and make a Drew Hill In My Bed remix because the original was too slow. I don't know why we didn't, you know, I've seen that happen. What's that Saint, you remember that St. John record that was a DJ took it? You know, when a DJ used to take, that's what I really love, those moments. Like when a song comes out and it might be okay and it might be a dope song, but the tempo wasn't right for the time, or the guitar lick didn't, you know what I mean? Like, and one producer, a dance producer or somebody was like, you know, I'm gonna make my version. And then that version goes, but labels used to have budget for remix. There was always a remix.
Puffy
There
was
was
the
always
king of Puffy was.
yeah. Puff
Well,
was
Mikey
killing
brought
it.
up the monoculture a minute ago. Like back in the day, you turn on MTV, you turn on the radio, all the big artists, all the stuff that you were supposed to pay attention to was right there in front of you. Now we don't have that anymore. Now it's.
But I don't think it could be. I don't think it's non-existent. I think we're not doing it. You know what I mean? Like it's proven to work. I think I really don't believe that there's not a space for all of those things. Like, you know, like
I agree. They're just more kind of isolated
they're
throughout
more
different.
yeah, like even playing the clubs, right? Like as a DJ, like I see people love new music. You know, it's just, you know, we don't have a lot of spaces to platform. I mean, TikTok is a place that's like the club. It's like a discovery base. Like
You got streamers breaking artists now.
breaking art, or you might see a dance that go with a song and be, and that's not to me. People make a big the dance. It's not new. Like I come from club culture. Like you would go out and see a girl do a dance in the club to a song and be like, what the fuck is that? And then weeks later, you keep going to this said club and everybody's doing a dance to
communities break artists.
Communities break artists, I mean, and that's any genre. Even when you used to go to a club and see a band, you used to go to a club and be like, yo, who's this fucking band? No Doubt that's playing every club, you know, in Southern California. No, these are all bands that played. You know, you come from, I mean, even you guys come from a band background with Madeline and Newfoundland. All of you guys played in band. Like you would go out and see a band and then you would see the posters, and then it's the same thing on TikTok. You see a dance. I mean, look at the Paradox. You know, I used to see them in the fucking parking lots in Atlanta playing and shredding with their homies, and it developed, and that it's the same shit. I just think now it's on the internet. It's not really in a space where we don't see it. Now it's like, oh, I heard this song and I seen this dance on the internet. And every time something goes viral, we always say, man, I remember when they had 1,000 followers. That's the same
one way
shit.
or another, it comes down to people talking about you. It comes down to conversations happening about you, whether it's a band playing a show, like, oh my gosh, you know, calling your friend, oh man, I saw this band at the club. It was crazy. Then they call their friend. You know, the internet is just another way.
Another way, just film it. That's all you have to do.
You see like the Paradox coming up on your For You page, and you send it to your friends, you talk about it, you know.
And so the streets never left, really. People just, the streets is now on a viral level. The people talking and the bubbling.
Well, it's also a way to quantify how much people are talking about you and what you know, what conversations are being had about you.
And you got to be thorough, I feel like, in this generation, because people do their research. People will look your shit up. They'll look where your mama was born and everything. You'll be all fucked up, motherfucker. Your shit ain't. So now the streets is really more checked out than ever. I wanna move on though, because you know we hit some good points with that. But I want to ask Bolooki about the AI catching bad contracts and missing royalties. As a person myself, shameless plug, who started a app company, a homeroom tool, shameless plug. You know, as a new app that I'm putting out called Dicer that is going to fix everybody with the splits. Shameless plug. But we have different ones of your friend who created also besides Dicer, your friend created a app where you can put your contracts in it and it could rate your contracts as a bad contract, as a non. Shout out to Shar. I mean, we've all got that app too, and we're sharing apps as friends in the business because we're all trying to make tools that can all on the same team, trying to help us to learn and understand, because there's a habit of us being musicians and writers and producers and only caring about that while somebody is over your shoulder caring about everything else, and that day has come to an end. So what do you feel about these tools, Bolooki, and how you feel about the future of
AI? The future of AI, not just in the creative space, but more so how it can help us, how it can chase our money down, how it can find bad deals and save artists. What do you feel about the future of AI in that regard, in new tools, opposed to Suno and all that other stuff?
I mean, I don't care about all that. I care about all the missing money and all of the terms that we all agreed to, not knowing or understanding exactly what we were agreeing to. And then when you ask for advice, people give you bad advice, and then you're stuck in something that you can't get out of. Nobody wins. We just lose. We lost value. Because when your friends are put into a position where they can't turn around and hire you for something because their situation's fucked up, lowering the power of your own network. We're collectively talking more amongst ourselves, and I think people are now realizing just because such and such did a bad deal Doesn't mean everybody else needs to go through the same shit.
The information is vital. The information is very, very key.
It's vital, and the AI part of it is great because that is going to be the hopefully unbiased advocate that when everybody around you, and we've all gone through this, you've gotten advice from people around you where you're just like, something is telling me maybe you're working for the enemy too.
Yeah, of course.
That's just part of the game.
You're the spook by the door and all of that type of shit.
Unbiased is the key. Getting an
AI
unbiased review.
Unbiased. The person doesn't have said publishing company and trying to grease the hands or using your situation to make sure their situation is in a good. I mean,
AI don't got a dog in the fight.
AI don't got the wonders of information because it's finding the information is key. Phil, I want to hear. Go ahead, Phil. What you think about?
Well, AI, the only problem I see with this is that AI doesn't really have a way to calculate the amount of leverage that you may have in a deal. You could be just some guy who, is negotiating a low-level record deal or publishing deal or distro deal or whatever. And, look, a lot of, I don't want to talk about my deals necessarily, but a lot of people go into deals knowing, this probably isn't the best terms I could possibly get. However, it puts me in a situation where I'll have this opportunity or this opportunity that maybe you wouldn't have without signing that said deal. So it's not really possible to, figure the risk reward. Of course, like, you want to be able to negotiate the best possible deal you can, but,
that's a good point.
The amount of leverage that you may have or
that's something that you have to gauge as a human,
and that's where, I think having a good lawyer that you could trust who's in it to protect you is still, the most valuable way to, that's obviously the challenge though, because a lot of, the music industry is a very, it's a dog eat dog.
It's a very,
world. But, and just having the education yourself, I have an amazing lawyer, but there's been plenty of times where I'll catch things in a contract.
Of course.
Like, oh, wow.
There's some things, the streets, you got to still have like gut feelings about things that you can't measure with the AI. I think that's why I say it's good to know these things are tools. There's things that you have readily available for you as a tool, but there's
we didn't all got bad AI advice where you're like, hold on, that's not right. That's not right.
You don't know what you're talking about, buddy.
I think it's to be able to put in a long form contract into AI and just to be able to ask it, what does this mean? What am I signing? And it can break it up
to me like I'm 2 years
say,
old, man.
Exactly. Helping you understand what you're getting into is, to me, the best part about it. In terms of giving you advice, and you should be getting this, you should be getting this. There's no real way for, to weigh the risk reward and the leverage and stuff like that.
I just hope
another part of it too. Oh, go ahead, Mikey.
No. Do you think?
Well, I was going to say, I think a lot of people too, like, so if we refine these AI tools contractually to get it down to like where, I don't want to say lawyers are not needed. They're always going to be needed because these are important decisions you're making. But I hope the AI tools can not only surface level go through your contract, but also let you know, like there's real life things you should be putting into these things as factors too. I personally, I got started late in life in music. I didn't actually move to LA until I was 30. I was in a different life position.
I was 27.
A lot of our peers, because a lot of people I work with now are like 22, and
Mikey was a child.
40s. Yeah, no, but seriously, if that's the case, if you're very, very young, when did you break in? When did you get your first placement? How old were you?
First placement was 18. Deal 9.
There's a lot of people still wandering in the music industry who are successful that still don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't say I learned I've been in the business like most of my life, but learning the business,
different planet.
It's a whole nother that's a whole nother. We didn't even know.
That's like the whole thing is like when I signed most of my deals as a teenager, 18, 19. I wouldn't have even been able to comprehend, to talk to my lawyer the right way to know what I wanted or needed at the time. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, here I am,
your
18,
priorities
19.
at 18 are completely different
bro, I can't, I'm too young to drink alcohol, but I'm old enough to sign away my rights for the rest of my life, which is
Right.
why we have to get real. We have to be able to have some type of standard, hopefully all and all this stuff, and some type of reform on contracts, because the music industry is a wild, wild west. We have some of the worst deals. Hopefully we can get some type of standardization of contracts to where every single person, there is a base point, where there's a base point to where some dude just can't say, hey, I got you in perpetuity, or some dude just can't say, hey, I own all your publishing. Like, I done seen some of the, there has to be some type of base level, like, legality to what type of deal you can sign, because that's why we comparing notes now. You talk to somebody like, yo, my deal ain't that bad, or yo, my deal is horrible, like just from us talking and comparing and having notes.
And
like
every
that.
deal is so different. It's like, and I think in jail they got shit called paperwork parties, where like everybody brings their paperwork, like your we're like, so then what the fuck happened to you? Like, who did this to you? And you know what the funny shit is, we narrow it down, it's a lot of the same human beings. But it's like, it's like, and look, to me, getting a deal isn't bad, right? Because a deal can change the trajectory of your life. Like getting someone giving you a contract, or some wanting to be in business with you for your talent isn't necessarily a bad thing. The bad thing is someone taking advantage of your talent and your ignorance. And most of the time in this business, it's a wild, like you said, there's no prerequisites. These people, no one went to college, and the people that did go to college are the people that are not going to tell you, because a lot of people that Clive Davis was a lawyer. Clive Davis went to law school. Some of the people running these businesses are people who went to said law school, went to school. I think Bolooki dodged years of terrible shit, being his experience in law and knowing at least to go, at least what I know law teaches you immediately is, I'm going to take my time and read this over and think about this. When you're a kid like Mikey coming from Baltimore,
Bro, it's everything.
you like, man, you want to give me what? They make beats? Like, I'm out. And then even me growing up in the business, my pops being in it, there's still a lot of things that they didn't know, and they can't grasp situations. And, everybody doesn't understand. And then I'm moving. But, to tell the truth, at the end of the day, we all are here now, but it's something to, it's good. I would say to our listeners, it's good to learn. Phil is another, we all of us, I would say, as friends in here, we all started very young. We were all very naive and very trusting. But we didn't have Gemini, and we didn't have Chat GPT, and what's the app called?
Oh, Tushar's app.
Let's shout out Tushar. What's it called? Jesus, we got what's his name?
Sorry, Tushar.
Shout to Tushar. We have been using your app. Look out for my app Dicer that is coming. I have perfected a place for us to do splits. This is always an issue. We agree to these things in text message and email, and yes, it holds up in court. But when you are gathering your information, the main thing to me as a producer, as a writer, as an artist is knowing where your shit is. All most people do is when they sign you a fucking DocuSign, you sign it, you agree to splits and texts. You don't have anything logged. When you want to go sell a catalog or do anything, you got to call everybody and gather this information. It takes a month. I have fixed that with Dicer. I've had some user studies. Mike, you did a user study. You didn't do, who did a user study? So Bolooki did a user study, right? Luke, you did a user study of Dicer. My partner Diva called you. You did a user study. Didn't she walk you through it and all of that? No, you didn't do it yet. Phil, you didn't do it yet neither. None of you guys have talked to her yet. Yeah, Frank is. I've had some friends do it. Sorry, these criminals have not
this week
done it yet. This week. But yes, I fixed all of that. Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. Also, beautiful. Since we brought it up, Tushar's
Audio Amigos brought to you by Dicer.
Yes, Audio Amigos brought to you by Dicer and what?
Sure, SM7B.
What's it called?
Sound Deal.
Shout out to Sound Deal.
I think that's the best. Yeah, that's gonna be beautiful. A lot of middlemen are gonna be gone with AI, because 100%. All these people were like frauding and conning and say, oh, you know how many people I had to pay to collect my money from me because it was some like weird middleman who could only be who's the only person who could get the money. And this is weird, bro. It's a lot of people like that who operate in the sleazy area of the music industry, bro.
That's all these people are
They
because
extract value. They provide no value.
They provide, they don't make anything. The one thing that we all can survive off in here is that we all love to play our instruments. We love to rap. We love to sing. We love to make the sound of music, which keeps us all sane. But then there's the other side of the bloodsuckers who don't create anything. All they do is take everything. So we always got to deal with the takers. There's the takers and there's the creators. You know what I mean? And we're getting them the fuck out of here. But let's move on, right?
One thing I wanted to add.
No, go ahead, Luke.
I did get some good advice recently.
Share with us. Regale us.
I never really thought about this before, but a lawyer buddy of mine, I was telling him about my pub deal, and I didn't do a publishing deal until I was 40, and I moved to LA when I was like 28 or 29, and part of the reason why I never did a pub deal when I first
what a
moved
journey
there is because of all of my friends' horror stories with their pub deals. All I heard was worst case scenarios from everybody, and I didn't really understand what was going on. Yeah. So like, all I knew was if you don't sign anything, you'll be all right because the law is actually on your side if you read the law. That doesn't mean not going into business with people is a good idea. Like, you should actually. There's a way to do it. But what I was going to say is my lawyer buddy had told me, and this goes with the AI reading your contracts. It's not about what's in the deal. It's about what's not in the deal. That will determine a lot of how you actually get treated while you're in the deal. So even if an AI thing can go through all your standard terms and be like, hey, this should be 5 years. Hey, this should be 10, whatever. It could critique what's there. But I think it's really important for you to have goals in your actual life that, hey, as musicians, whatever, it's kind of a wacky lifestyle, but you probably want to have kids by 40 or so. Think about trying to get out of your first deal still while being 10 years from where you're at right now. Like, that's something people never really think about that. So I don't know if AI can really give you that kind of advice, but I think that's something that before you sign any sort of multi-year contract for anything, you have to think about, all right, the worst case scenario, I'm going to be in this for 5 years. What do I want to be doing in 5 years? If you want to have a family, you better make sure that there's an exit door in that deal so you can get out. But that's something that no one's really going to talk to you about that. And you might have to take less money to build that door, but it's worth it,
No, that's a good one. Yeah. I like that because when you do deals, you always want to know what's in them, but it'd be good to add things to them that also help you in the benefit. I like that. Shout out to Blue. That was a good one. Can we clap it up for Blue for that information right there? That was very key. Make sure you motherfuckers put that in your Gemini and your chat.
I got hit with some disgusting intel this week from a lawyer. Just real quick. They said they're making it almost illegal for you to run. It's a breach of contract if you put your contracts through AI. They said, like, this big lawyer I talked to in LA, this big LA lawyer, he was like, they just had all these meetings and talked about how he's like, so if you don't care, that's fine. But they're talking about how running your contract, this how scummy the system can get sometimes. But this is what this lawyer told me. He's like a big lawyer out here. And he was like, yo, they're making it illegal. Because I was telling him about all the stuff.
Well, if that isn't obvious that they're trying to fuck you.
Yeah, I think law,
illegal for you to do it or illegal for a lawyer to do it?
Illegal for you to do it because it's like you're exposing your contract to everyone. It's like it can consider it like against the confidentiality agreement. He said specifically when you sign that confidentiality agreement, it's like you're exposing your contract to everyone. When you put it through AI, it's like not sacred or private anymore. So lawyers are figuring that out. Yeah, but anyway,
it's all a fucking Fugazi, Puzani, and Montana. Exactly. So how to make the fucking a long night. It was an hour. Now they're trying to turn it into 10 hours. You know what I mean? They're just trying to fucking milk. But interesting. All right, let's get on AI tool contract depressing shit. And let's get to the fucking actual creation shit. Producer chemistries in studio conversation. I want to hear it from the great Phil fucking Fever. Shout out to Phil. Phil has singles out. He got all type of songs out. He got These Girls in Miami. They just want drugs. And Phil has always had an amazing emo voice. And he's a talented producer. He's produce songs for mine. Phil, what about producer
thank you.
chemistry? How do you feel about working with other producers? What do you feel like is a good gelling for you and another producer? The flow, the workflow. How important is that work flow?
I mean, it's everything. I think, of course, when, different people have different strengths, and when you come to a session and you do what you do best and they do what they do best, and when you mesh that together, it makes everything better. Also I think it just, having whether you're in the studio with another producer or an artist or a songwriter or whatever, just having a common goal and knowing, that you're having a vision of what you're working towards and being able to work together to realize that vision. That's what more can you?
But what do you? But go ahead. Where you going, Mikey? Go ahead.
Now I was about to say, who would you say is your favorite or the best producer artist duo ever? Artist duo ever, or to you?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe Eminem and Dr. Dre.
It's a good one. That's a very good one. And I
just
like
in terms of like
nobody really mentions them a lot though. I actually like that a lot, Phil. I like that
because everybody go Quincy and Mike.
Everybody go Quincy and Mike.
I mean,
they go da. But M and Dre's chemistry, that sold a lot of records.
That was just mind blowing.
No, I don't think it would have happened with any other.
You know what I like about their chemistry though? You know what I love about Dr. Dre? Can I speak about Dr. Dre?
Oof.
You know what Dr. Dre is one of the greatest producers, all genres, and one of the greatest producers in hip hop to me personally.
Always reinvent.
You can tell that Dre allows his artists to say and do whatever they want. He didn't meet Eminem and try to change Eminem's subject matter, because that's a big thing that makes M's rhyming ability is his rhyming ability, but the things he was talking about for being a white rapper from the white ghetto at that time, to Dre, it wasn't relatable to most, wanting to kill your mother and, beat up your baby mother, all of those type of things and the crazy. But Dre actually, I've seen in many interviews, that's what he loved about M. And when you think about Dre, he's always been a shock. I mean, Fuck the Police was extreme to come out in the early 90s at a time when where the world was, NWA was like, you came out in a group called Niggas with Attitude talking about fuck the Dre has always allowed his artists to be as polarizing as they want. 50 was polarizing, shot 9 times with the vest, and Dre made them beats with the gun cocks and the drama, the pop and the drama really was like, Dre's just down for the fuck shit. And he just coats it with the most cleanest sonic, the best drums.
I mean, even sonically, even just the way
Dre makes the best sounding music, the best sound. You mean
he had
especially with the artist, especially
he ran decades,
artists,
bro. I've seen many studios. I remember even with my fam down in Miami. So you just test the rooms with the Chronic, 2001. Mm-hmm. The way the mixes sound. And the Sonics are Dre, and then that Dre and that was a good one, Phil. I really don't think that's been brought up enough. That's actually a good one. Eminem and Dr. Dre's chemistry.
Dre's also, I mean, most of the people that I've seen interviewed that had worked with him talk about how much of a pain in the ass he is to work with, because he'll work you to the point where you want to give up.
100%.
He's like an amazing vocal producer
that'll
make you do it 500 fucking times before you get that one. But that's something that it's kind of a lost art that a lot of rap producers
nowadays these pussy ass artists will call that shit abusive or some shit. No, it's just somebody wanting to make you better. A lot of artists nowadays are so fucking soft. You can't even get them to think
they'll hire their own engineer, and then the engineer's on their payroll. They're not gonna be sitting there like
that's an easy day.
It's an easy day. No challenge. No artist. He challenges you.
He has to put his name on that too, and arguably his name is bigger than yours. So like, it has 100%. To be perfect.
100. That's why Dre said he never really worked with a lot of big. Dre said, because I'm a Dr. Dre stan. Dre has always said he never did a lot of records with established artists. He always introduced artists. He never really worked with the new hot person of the time.
Even from like the Chronic, man, like all the guest features, he introduced us to all those people. You
can't name a lot of records Dre has produced out of his own artists. Name them, and and we all know that from working with like people who've come back and rock stars that come back, you know, working with artists that have a lot of albums in front of them and they're making their 9th album and you're the guy working on the 9th album is like, bruh, like you're never gonna beat that latter work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like so hard to go in with artists that
Working
are
with
so
those older
established.
artists too, they're the ones, and you can't help it. You guys are you're constantly bringing up and comparing to previous discography.
To the old stuff. You just have
Always.
to. There's no other way you can.
That's the level you need to hit and exceed.
the measure.
Also, those are things that you can't repeat. Those are things that you should repeat depending
That's
on the
crazy.
song.
You can't repeat that vibe. You have to make it fresh again. And then that is the bar that you know, I remember, you know, we just worked on that Katie record, the 4-5, you know, the 4-3-2-1 album. The 4-3-1 album. And it's hard. Like you're fighting Teenage Dream and fucking, you know, you're fighting 8 number 1, you know, songs on one album or 7. It's like, bro, the pressure of beating those records and reinventing and all of that. And that's why I think with Dre, it was important. Like Dre liked to start from scratch. He wanted a new artist with a new perspective, with a new vibe where he can feel new and you feel more creative. You don't feel more like trapped. You're like, oh, I got this kid Eminem. You know what I mean? You're probably excited. You know, you hear, I got this kid 50, I got the Game, kid from Compton. No, nobody's really heard him. I'm gonna make the, you know, and I think he likes to, but that's also a skill. Breaking an artist with a sound is a fucking skill. You know what I mean? And they had the machine.
The big skill to have right there. And he had, you know, Jimmy.
You had Jimmy. All they had it lined up from Jimmy down. You had the Interscope. This is what I love. I mean, if I could continue, when the team of the artist, the label, everybody is in motion together. When everything is flowing together, that's what Dre like. That's what I love. When an artist is new and the label's excited and the management is on point and the music and their perspective is flowing and you're making the music that is, or whether their perspective, whether they're writing it or not, just everything musically is locking. You know what I mean? And then you see the timing and it just goes pew. You know what I mean? It's just like right artist, right time, right sound, right team, right label, right. Everything's right. Because people say, look, I love when a label is excited. When they're ready and they're getting and they're trusting you, they're like, yo, we trust Bolooki and Phil and Mikey and Lunch. Like we're loving what they're making. You know,
and it's different conversations when you're talking direct to the president of the label too.
Come on now. That's the best feeling when you talking to the
buttons that gets pressed.
Man, they talk about those buttons. There's no button. And man, let me tell you something. The button is when, I mean, look, I remember L.A. Reid talked about that. He said the Clive, like, can you push that button? You push, and he was like, you see, he pointed to Whitney was singing on stage, and he was like, there's the button. And that's also true. Like the artist is like the main spearhead in the songs, but it is a good thing when you can walk them, the everything, you know, you're talking to the president, he's loving it and everyone's enthused. It's a lot of pressure, but to me, it also makes me feel confident when I'm making the shit. Because that's the main thing for us. I think us feeling confident, when you're a producer and a writer and you're feeling confident and you're like, yo, I can't miss. It's a beautiful thing because you're so locked in. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I'm locked in.
Your work's not in vain because you could get very nihilistic thinking your work gonna go nowhere. But if you got the direct to the artist and the president of the label and you know these songs can come out, it puts you in a different universe mentally when you're not wasting your time just making a hook or a beat to make a beat.
There's a couple artists in history to me that had runs, and there is a special white hot moment even us as producers and writers go through and creatively where you feel like you can't miss. Like T-Pain had those I know he knows what that feel. Some people don't know what it feels like to be a member of the Chicago Bulls when Michael Jordan was playing, or to be a part of a dynasty team, or to be, you know, when you cannot fucking miss everything.
Like Super Mario. You feel like Super Mario.
You feel like just like you feel
like you're the golden star, bro. You can't ride off tracks.
You can't ride off. Yeah, I mean, of course, T-Pain has felt that. Future has felt that. Drake has felt that. Michael Jackson has felt that. You know, certain artists have felt that. I don't know if a lot of people have lived in that space. I really think of that space where you like can't miss. Like I
Can do
like I
no
feel
wrong.
like has Stevie ever been in that space? To me, I feel like Stevie's always in the space of trying to like outbeat his creations. Some motherfuckers ain't even trying to outbeat it. They just know if I get like Frank Sinatra, it's just I get on this bitch, I use my voice, and motherfucker just like,
Right.
you know what I mean? And that's an interesting space. Even as I mean, the Neptunes probably felt like that at one point. You don't think so?
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
Of course.
yeah, like where it's just they were
Timbo.
fucking they were like 60% of radio. It's like, bro, just give me the money.
Neptunes, that it's a different planet they was on at one point.
Well, I mean, you have like the Rihannas, the Beyoncés, you have the Madonnas, and people who've had long careers. But you know what I mean? I mean, Madonna,
Yeah.
you know, when you're new and it's hot and you're just on a fucking, like, you can't miss. Like Bruno.
Being around Luke and all them during the early days, that's what that was. It was
Oh,
like
yeah, when you just couldn't miss.
someone had to clear monopoly on pop share. You know, him and Mac. Literally every song was either people were trying to make fake versions of those songs, and every song that they couldn't miss.
Pissing number ones, pissing. Right. It was coming out. It was leaking.
And Timbaland couldn't miss too. Like he could give Bubba Sparks a hit. Like that's, you know, not no shade, but it's just
Nelly
like
Furtado.
Yeah, no, Nelly, I mean, no, but that's what I'm saying is like those are when you're at that moment in your career and you know you can find talent like Nelly and Bubba who had something about them. You know, when you that hot, it's like, man, like, you know, it's like you feel like everything that come out of Pro Tools gonna go. You know, I don't know if I've had, you know, that's interesting. Have any of us ever felt?
I had 4 songs in the top 20 of iTunes one time, and I felt like Superman, bro.
Yeah, he dropped the headphone. Just thinking about it, he dropped the headphone out his ear. He
four songs on the top rap charts one time. It was just like pure luck where I just had all these releases at one time and they all dropped. And you feel like Super Mario. You feel like labels, people calling you that ain't never called you before. It's like a crazy
different. It's like you got a touch. You got the magic. Yeah. When they know they could come to you and they know you can make a record that can get an artist out the door. And that's what I think I've always tried to.
I just wish I had a better team at the time.
Oh yeah, that'll definitely fuck your shit, because that's an important thing is when you do go on that run, writers and producers, when you are feeling like you're in that space and you catch your one, because everybody gets their one. Everybody gets their chance in the sun. Even a garbage can gets a steak. Everybody gets a fucking moment. They do. And your team sometimes depends on how long that moment goes. Because if you got a manager, go ahead, Mike.
That team is supposed to get you something that you don't deserve.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
You're supposed to get that. Oh, how did I end up in the room with Beyonce? I don't know, but I did a song, you know, like
it's supposed to be funky. Shout out to Derek Jackson. I don't know where Derek is right now, but I remember when Scott Storch he could fucking trip and roll over the keyboards and play the hit. Like every lick was a hit. I mean, he was that Scott Storch. That shout to Scott, because Scott is the homie. Yeah. It's like your dick is down in your ankles.
VH1 was like, Scott Storch made $100 million. I was like, what?
I don't care what God, but no, the pause, but I don't care what God, your dick feels this big. You know what I mean? You feel like nothing could go wrong, and if I swing it, I'm knocking the speaker down. You know what I mean? Like that's how you feel in the studio. Like I got this shit on lock. There's nothing I could. I'm the man.
And you can hear it when you working with the person. Like I don't work with like, you know, Mustard when he had the sound, and you just feel it, bro. I don't work with these producers when they had the sound.
Oh,
you feel it in the kicks.
Let me explain something to you.
In the flow,
shout out to DJ Mustard. Not only did Mustard create a sound, he created a brand on top of the sound, and people don't understand how important that is. People talk about that mustard sound was so ingrained into the radio and top 40 at one point that other people made hits off of the sounding like a Mustard song. And then everybody was in the studio using them same boop, boop, boop. Everybody wanted
the BPM of pop music. He changed the BPM of rap music and pop music.
Pop music. Even we were in all those sessions, and it was like Mustard-esque, even in top 4, even in pop, even in we would say the most Caucasian spaces, you know, because pop always in top 40 looks to rap for what's cool, you know, and I think all of us in this chat know that we've loved hip hop no matter our backgrounds. You know, Phil know how to put that bop on that shit, and you know, and when you mix that shit, you know, with that other shit, that's what get other people out the door. And Mustard Mustard's run. I think Mustard had the last real run. I don't know another like
he had a run
rap
and then
producer.
it stopped and then he just reran
and
again with
reran
Kendrick.
again. He just ran.
And then Kendrick was like, Mustard! And he
Mustard!
revolved, bro.
When he went, he needed a West Coast hit. And the thing is, when you got it, there's a different, bro. There's producers
Come on.
and there's hit producers.
Mhm.
There's a big, and the point from hit producer to producer is not like this. It's like this. I don't know if I'm in the camera right. It's like this. It's not a small margin. It's like producer, hit producer, because you can go to people for beats and production, but then if you go to somebody who gonna give you one of them things, one of those,
and it's a
one of
difference
them.
when you're going to a synonym or you going to the source code. Like Mustard was the source code of the new wave West sound, and for him, Kendrick was the source code for the new age West rap. And when they finally did they dance,
when they danced, the timing of the dance was, oh man, boy, did they dance. And people can talk about Not Like Us and all of that, but the other one was the other Mustards were fire on the album too. It wasn't that one, you know. And shout out to Sean Mommerberger, the homie. I know Sean before he, you know, cracked off. He's a super dope producer, a great, you know, loop maker, musician, producer too. I want to call him a loop because he worked on those records too. But still, that's the thing that people don't understand. I remember, like, even with Dr. Dre, right? He worked alongside amazing musicians and co-producers. Mike Elizondo, amazing. One of the nicest guys. Not only that, one of the dopest bass players in Los Angeles. I mean, a jazz guy, but played the dopest bass lines on them Dre records. He had Melman. The cast was crazy. Scott Storch. But at the end of the day, when you sit them with Dr. Dre, you get Still Dre. And even like Scott had his own records. I think Scott would say this, and I know Scott, so I can say this. Scott had his own records that were crazy, but when he was with Dr. Dre, it was something different though.
Oh, of course.
You can say whatever you want. People can say, "Oh, Dre, this person's good because of who he was with," but you hear the difference when you work, because even when you see Mustard, because when people, there's something about Mustard's approach. It's something about Mustard's perspective. It's probably Mustard comes from a DJ background. He knows where to do the drops at. He knows where the chorus should come at. Like, you can make beats and shit and all of that, but if you are not an outside person, like you go to the club and you know what people are going to put their hands in the air to, or where the beat's going to drop, or where the drop should go, or when Kendrick should say this, and maybe the 808 should come out there. Like, people don't understand a lot of that shit. You know, I even would say that to Khaled. Like, people talk a lot of, you know, whatever controversy, but when Khaled comes from a DJ background, you know what I mean? He comes from that type of background. He comes from like that even DJing in the reggae parties, and he knew what the hands go up. He knows like all those moments, you know what I mean? And those shits play into making beats and making music. You know what I'm saying? Even in the pop space, you guys come from a rock background, knowing when to make the guitars heavy, knowing when the melody should fly. You know what I mean? It's just like, but that's the hit producer shit. You know what I mean? I know when I work with certain people, I ain't gonna lie, I done did records with certain people, and I ain't gonna lie, it's just a difference. It's a difference.
I went to a DJ Mustard show once. It was lit. The crowd was going crazy.
Yeah.
Were any of you guys with me when we went to see DJ Mustard?
I think he was performing after Dallas.
Yeah.
That day? Yeah, I was there.
It's a difference, man. It's a real difference, though.
Dre, Premier, all them started as DJs, bro. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
So it's
It's
just
just a different. It's a different thing, man. Even when you talk about like the Jermaine Dupri's, you know, even the, you know, we bring them up a lot, but you just can't not bring them up when you talk about big song, the Max Martins, you know, like, you know, the Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis's. Yeah, even Rick Rubin talking about like Red Hot Chili Peppers. He was saying like they gave him a lot of credit for like all that stuff. He was like, bro, these dudes just sound like that. I just plugged them up and they just played that shit. Like, it wasn't
all
like
superstars that we love, those superstar producers, they're also superstars at keeping superstar engineers and talent around them at all times that know how to capture unmistakable moments of magic.
Bolooki, let's talk about it.
No, a lot of other, like, if you're producing and engineering at the same time, it is kind of tough to sit there and think critically and creatively at the exact same time. So I think they understand the necessity of having killer NASA level engineers around you to make sure everything comes out clean and perfect, and actually not clean and perfect to like a sterile way, but clean and perfect to bring out that person's personality the most. Make them, you have to capture when they lose their mind, you know?
That's another pipeline I noticed a lot, especially in pop music. I've seen it sometimes in rap, but the engineer to producer pipeline, like Trent Reznor used to be like an engineer for Troop, you know, that R&B group. And then he ended up being who he was. So it's just like,
well, the more I hear about, that's the more I hear about things like what you just said, how Trent was an engineer for Troop, and like one of my favorite producers, I don't know if you know Arif Medine, he did like Pick Up the Pieces and all them Aretha Records and Shaka Khan, and he was the Atlantic studio like engineer at one point. The thing I loved about that, even what Bolooki saying, like with the engineers, when you're a person who came up in the industry in different roles at one point, you understand how every like Arif would always talk about how being the studio engineer and also being like the guy who set up the food and got this and it taught him the therapy of how the session should go. So when he got his moment and of course started doing everything, he learned so much just in different roles. And I even think that me growing up kind of around the studio, I saw how it's, we all know, like Bolooki said, like a tracking engineer is so important. Like the engineer is the flow of the session. And then the producer can produce because he doesn't have to worry about that. So now I can worry about how the artist sounds, how the music is sounding, are these backgrounds too loud, or like you're just hearing things because you're not really worried about that. And then the tracking engineer also has a big job because he has to make sure everything's organized, labeled, like things are also sounding good as the production is going, which is big. Like I like things sounding good as I go. You know what I mean?
I think those hit producers, they learn how to get the top level talent around them, but that doesn't mean that they were big names. They just trained them to think like them. And no matter what role that you're in, and it's important to have that like you shouldn't be doing everything in the room, really, or you should at least understand that there's a time and a place for everything. So even if you are tracking and producing at the same time, there's an art to telling people, yo, we should take a break. And then there's an art to telling people, hey, we need to keep trying, knowing that you're almost there and we need to keep going, because if we take a break right now, it's actually going to fuck all the momentum up. And I know I'm not going to get you back after 20 minutes of a cig break or something like that.
That's very important.
It's important to do all those roles. I think that's a big thing, or at least, if you're not going to go back to being an intern or some shit like that, you should actually pay attention to like, why are certain assistants amazing to have around you, and why are other ones I'd rather you not be like, yo, can you just give us a minute?
Some getting away. Some getting away. Some got
because it's an energy thing too.
Yeah.
Some people don't have to say anything, but their energy in the room isn't locking in. Something's distracting. And I think it's you have to just get the energy right. And some people don't like get that part of every big producer I know, every producer, like we say, top shelf that I know, even me come around the Salams and us with the Lukes and everybody, like their crew was tight. The engineers were tight. Everything is fucking just flowing because it's Apple.
It's Apple conveyor. Everybody know they roll too.
Everybody know they roll. I love that system, and I think every artist and producer at any level should start thinking about that.
Yes,
I think that's
just as important as your management team and your lawyers. Build your team.
It's almost more important.
Oh, 100%.
More important. It's
like writers you work good with. Oh my goodness.
Everything. I think it's important to us. I mean, but writer, producer to engineer flow. And that's why it's important to take care of your people too, because taking care of your people makes them work freely and makes them work at their highest. They'll
go into overtime for you.
For you, and they'll dial. I mean, look at Thriller from the Quincy to the Rod Temperton to the Bruce Swedien to the Michael. It was a synergy with those four guys, and they made two of some of the highest selling albums in history. You can't even. And to me, you can't even be, if you don't got a team like that, you can't even be honest with each other about the songs, and they were open. They probably, this shit trash. Yo, I love this arguments, everything, knowing that we can recover from them things because we're all just trying to get this thing done to make it the best that it could be. You know what I mean?
That
Like
chemistry too. Can't put a price on that.
Oh man. And then just the Thriller alone and those 4 guys and the engineer that was tracking for Bruce, I forgot his name. I just watched the interview with him and he was talking about, remember I sent it to the chat about his, what Mike used the SM7s and all of that and how Bruce Sudine hated compression and he only liked the compression from the tape machine and like all of those key, and that dude was the tracking engineer because Bruce ain't tracking. You know what I mean? So even that guy's job was so serious. Like you're tracking Michael Jackson's vocals. You're tracking Michael Jackson's vocals.
Woo!
You know
And
what I
on
mean?
tape.
On tape.
One mistake.
One
Oh,
mistake in
God.
the stacks and knowing what the mic and the mic chain and all of that, that could be a good segue into what, going into, us asking, our probably, I think our final things, right? I think we should ask Bolooki, what's your mic what's your favorite mic and what's your chain of the week? Like, do you have any compression you want to give these people as something they should, what's a good chain that they should use at their crib? If they can't afford to get a fucking TG, all this Avalon to fucking flux
Give
capacitor,
a good low tier. Give a
low
good low
tier.
tier and a high end. So like
We want
under 1,000 chain, and then if the money wasn't an issue chain, if you even
100%.
know, if you even know a under $1,000
Mike,
chain.
ask that again so we can have it clean.
So, Balook, if you had to help like an upcoming producer and they wanted a great vocal chain under $1,000 all in, I'm talking mic too, and they just got their big check, money's not an issue. What are your 2 vocal chains? One low tier and then the other one high end. What you telling them?
Low tier by far SM7 and an Apollo. You're good. It's all about recording conservatively. I don't think people really understand that you're never supposed to see red, and if you see yellow, you're already too hot. So if you want someone to really give their best performance, chances are it's not going to be at a consistent level. You need them to lose it a little bit and like really do something a little. You need to catch the unexpected, but you got to do it low, like low, and then just understand that the plugins and everything, that's what they're there for afterwards, for you to dial that shit in. But for under $1,000, you can easily. People hate on the SM7. They keep trying to like get these warm audio, condensers, and
Yeah.
if you sound good on it, it kind of doesn't matter. But the SM7 is all 4 of us are using one right now for a reason.
100%.
Because it makes your voice sound good.
Mine is running through a cloud.
With or without a cloud lifter.
Yep, that's what I was about to ask.
You can get by without it.
I don't think any of us have. I don't have a fucking cloud lifter on my shit.
I got a
me,
cloud.
me, Jay,
I
Mike,
got
and
a
probably
cloud.
Bolooki have cloud lifters.
I don't have mine plugged in right now.
Let me be an example to people who halfway know what the fuck they're doing. That I've recorded many great things on this damn microphone right here. Amazing things that have went out the door that have made you motherfuckers dance before. From this mic.
The magic of the SM7 is the fact that it misses a lot of details, and that forces you to perform into it a certain way. It's not supposed to be the most hi-fi thing possible.
No, I love that you got to crank it.
Yeah, you got to, and it's like listening to yourself over a karaoke mic. It's kind of the same thing. When people hear themselves over karaoke mic, it sounds like shit, but you're undeniably having fun. And when you have fun in front of the microphone, that's when your best performances come out. And SM7 is the closest to that experience that you're going to get.
I love the book. Say that again. What do you think is the specialness about the SM7? So we catch this clear. What is the specialness about this SM7 that I'm speaking into right now?
Well, first of all, most of the time in the studio, people are holding it. Think about it. In almost 99% of studio situations, you have your mic on a mic stand, but when you're using an SM7, you're holding it. That right there is you're putting yourself in fighting stance, right? So you're going to project into that microphone the way that you're talking to somebody. When you got the condenser out and it's on a mic stand and you're kind of forced to stand still, it's going to take 10 takes for us to get a good one. The SM7 is almost world renowned for as soon as it sounds good, you move on to the next part. That's true for, I work with all you guys, Lunch, you especially, like once it's good, we move on. We might do one extra one for safety, but it's really not necessary because we know we got it and that's the best it's going to be.
100%.
And then you start getting into a flow. It helps you get into this mental flow that you're actually chipping the fuck away at a record as soon as the idea came up and it's already sounding good. There's no technicalities. There's no like, it's just a very forgiving microphone, but it forces you to act right in front of it for it to actually pick up what you need. It needs to be cranked. It's going to be loud. It's going to be whatever, but that's part of the fun. That's part
it's very what it is. It's the vocal is, that's what I love about it. Also, it's just, it's like it's exactly what as soon as you sang the right line into a SM7 in the studio,
we're good.
We're good. We know that if it's the most like
it's not precise enough for you to sit there and split hairs about things.
100%.
Because when it comes to a condenser, like if you're using a 251 or a C800, whatever it might be, it is like a microscope. It'll pick up the tiniest little spit in the back of your. Like I can tell what you.
I can always hear that. Yeah, I can always hear that.
100%.
Big change.
And it fucking sucks. It actually creates work for you.
Yeah.
All you hear is this. You hear the.
Yeah, I can hear that.
Yeah.
But it's because people are like, they don't really understand how they're supposed to be using those microphones. You're actually supposed to be like a good 2 feet away from it and in a perfect booth. And like that environment just realistically does not exist in most situations. So when people buy a really expensive mic and then they realize it's picking up all these things that are actually not cool.
Now you gotta get a whole new AC.
Now you gotta reshape your house for the mic.
Yeah.
And when you get that
C800 and you run that bitch through a T, you get the golden chain, bro. You can
hear the neighbor's dog wagging.
You can hear your neighbor fart from the master bedroom in that motherfucker.
They're incredible in like a big live room or something that you're at Conway or something. It's always going to sound good because that's their business, No,
100%.
In the home studio, like you need to just get whatever you. The value isn't what you paid for the mic. The value is what got the best idea out of you. Honestly, these days, I've heard great ideas from BandLab, and the kids using BandLab are using their fucking inline microphone. That's literally the crappiest microphone there is. But if that's what got
records have come out with that and got billions of streams too.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I'm not going to say the artist, but
it goes back to performance though too. Like the mics are amazing, right? If you get to a certain level where you're, we're not, C800s, all those things are great, but to me, it's still about what draws the most sincere vocal performance out of you. And there's a lot of that, whether it's standing, sitting, laying down, things like that, and I think
I do a lot of that when I work with people. I just cut and finished the whole record where the kid did multiple takes through a handheld microphone that was going through guitar pedals.
Wow.
It sounds terrible, but it got him so excited to do it that we used that layer on almost the entire song. Because it was something that he hadn't heard himself like that before. And when you dial up something where somebody you unlock this superstar power from somebody and they think they can do no wrong because of the way they sound, it doesn't matter how you got there. You can spend $1 on it. You can spend $10,000 on it. It does not matter. But you crack that person's code that you're going to get the best takes out of them for sure for the next hour or whatever. And they're going to always want to come back to you because you understood how to make them tick. And again, 100%. It does not matter what gear you're using.
Nothing makes me tick as a vocalist and as an artist more than unlocking another part of my vocals or my ability. It just brings so much inspiration. Tone, anything. It just brings so much inspiration to everything. Now I want to ask. I want to move on and ask.
Let's do the $10,000 one.
Oh, let's do the $10,000 one. Should we care? I don't think. Fuck the $10,000 one. Let's stick to
$10,000.
Yeah, we ain't got no motherfucking money. The economy. Let's clap it up for Bloop though.
I would just reiterate. You said the SM7 into. Do you said any interface or an Apollo or?
I like the Apollo. The Apollo is good because a lot of those plugins are made for live musicianship, and you can dial in a pretty good chain and console and save it and bring it with you to almost any studio. That's where the joy of using an Apollo comes in. A lot of people have their whatever about console love-hate relationship, but almost every studio has Apollo hookups. Everyone's familiar with console. They just have a lock on it, so it's to your advantage to learn how to use it.
Apollo has
Yeah.
great built-in plugins. I think the Apollo comes with like some, that's some good shit.
The best, some of the best.
All right, so let's clap it up for Blue because he just saved us and gave a good explanation. I hope you fucking losers out there actually do something with it. Let's move to Mike. Hey, Mike, I want to ask you,
Okay.
what is there a beat lately that has blown you away, or one of the beats that when you first heard it, it just made you run to your DAW or whatever you're using at the time? Is there anything new or of anything you can reminisce or regale us in a story?
I go back. So the first time I heard this one beat, it was a Max Martin demo. Luke played this record. It was Britney Spears' Inside Out. Billboard produced it. I was working with like Sabby and a couple of artists in the studio. I was like, yo, we just did this today. I'm hearing this Max. And I'm hearing this bloop, 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 bloop. It was one of the craziest. I didn't sleep that night. I was so sick from hearing this beat. Like I was sick to my stomach and I couldn't think straight. I didn't think it was possible to go to this sonic window that I was listening to. And it was like one of the rare times that I have ever been any type of way, shape, or form, like intimidated by a beat. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it was crazy. It was one of the moments where it was just like, okay, it's some real killers out here. And shout out Billboard. He's one of the greatest like sonic masterminds we got. Like I said, it faded the universe on the line, and the aliens came down and said they wanted a couple producers to show us how fire beat making can be. I would send him and go to sleep that night and not even be worried.
Couple Canadians would be on the list.
Yes, would be on the fate of the universe list. So yeah, it was that one. And then another one I've been listening to right now in a very weird way is Michael Jackson's Speed Demon. Like it was like an album cut on I think Thriller, and where he was like dancing with a bunny, but it was like on so Thriller? Cool. I think it was on Thriller?
It was on
Bad,
was
right?
I think.
Dangerous.
Bad. Yeah, the one with Bad. You know, I'm Bad. Which one? That was the Bad album?
The Bad album. I know what you're talking about.
Okay, yeah, it was on that one where he was like dancing with a bunny in the video. But I just really liked how, like, at the time, Quincy couldn't find nobody that could play the bass line, that bass line fast enough. So he just got somebody to play it on the synth. And I'm just like right now, like for the past couple like week, I'm trying to figure out how to do that in urban music, how to like get the title that has something to do, maybe like Speed or something like that, but then have the 808 or
crazy. Y'all can't hear it, right?
Nah.
Oh, that's crazy. I could see why you like it though.
But then he's like Speed Demon, like that bass
DNA in it though. It feels very Mikey. I can see.
So I'm trying to figure out how to. It sounds like Sonic, bro. So it's like I'm trying to figure out how to translate that to a song these days where they saying a line and then the instrumental part goes off real quick and then back to the source. But yeah, that's what
instrumental break in a car. I love when I love when the melody of the song and the music follows the melody of the song in unison with the song and creates its own.
And it's called Speed. And then the bass line is going like a hyper speed. So it's just a crazy.
People don't understand the level of production that is when, as a producer, you can make the music feel like as catchy, the chords as musical as the melody. That's like when it's a higher level of production value, when the chords are following the top line. Everything is gelled to the point. Like when you hear Baby Be Mine, like I was playing it because I spun that at Dante's Thursday Night Lovers Rock. It's the best party in Miami. If y'all ever want to come, it's the second Thursday of every month. Shameless plug. I'm plugging everything right now. But like I played Baby Be Mine, and when you hear that ring off, the way that it starts, and then Baby Be Mine, girl, and the way Quincy used to have chords, like when the chords just open up and then they close, and Michael's closing with the string. It's just the shit is just having you like you're immersive. It's magical. So like it's magic. Like let me hold you, and then the strings are falling with the. That's what I'm just saying. It's like y'all got to get y'all shit together. We got to get our shit together. Shout to Quincy. Quincy Jones changed the way modern music sounds. I go all day about Quincy. Let me not go in. Let's Phev. I got a question for you. Phil is our hot take guy. as we all know. We all know Phil Fever, very honest hot taker. Phil, I need a hot take from you about music nowadays. What do you hate? What do you think is trash about nowadays with music in any genre or anything? Just something that you're just like, yo, this shit is garbage. This is whack.
I mean, I don't think it's so much of a hot take, but because everybody's making music, everyone's making records on their laptops, putting out, there's hundreds of thousands of songs that come out every single day. I do think the quality of music overall has gone down quite a bit,
Absolutely.
I don't think that's such a hot take, though. I think that's just inevitable when you increase the volume.
No, regale us, Phil. Go in about it.
It's going to be, less. But I still think that there is special things. There's still nuggets. There's still special things that I think it's better now than it used to be, where it's not so much the ability to put out music and pop off as a new artist. I think there's a lot of special things that are possible now. A lot of new incredible artists that are paving a way for themselves that never would have been able to get through the gatekeeping before,
Yeah.
I just think
But
that
do you think that's good, or do you think
I think it's
like a
good.
double-edged
I think
sword?
overall it's good. Yes.
Mm-hmm. You think it's good?
Absolutely.
What do you think is good
Yeah.
about it?
I think that the possibility being there that any new artist, has the ability to put their stuff out. They have, their own TV channel essentially with their social medias and with, the way people consume music and content these days. And I think the special stuff can rise to the top in ways that, it maybe would have been impossible in the past.
Yeah. So it creates a lot more freedom.
Absolutely.
Yeah, way more freedom. I agree.
I got a question. I got a question for you, Lunch.
Ask away.
First, what's your favorite song that you've ever heard, or what's your song that made you want to write music, like that altered the course of your life, that you heard it the first time and said, "Oh my goodness, I want to write music"?
Oh man, a song that made me want to write music. I would say music was such an ingrained thing into my life, being that I come from a musical family, like with my father, my uncle, and my Uncle Chowder, and the band in a circle, and everybody just being around music. I didn't really, for some people, music was like something they enjoyed. For me, music was something that was like pumped into my veins or something. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't have a favorite. I just loved everything. You know what I mean? How some people like listen to music like from that space. For me, it was just like I was in this thing until I realized like you had to make a big song. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. So I think later on, more so things blew me away. Like it's hard to say like like a specific song that blew. I mean, I don't know. Like even when I hear
album,
album that blew me away, blew me away. The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. I always try to use that as the reason the Miseducation was so important to me was the honesty and how honest it felt. The space that she wrote the songs from, like X Factor, and she used words like reciprocity and words like that, like, but they were catchy, but it was so honest. You know what I mean? You felt like, I like songs that make me feel exactly how I feel, how they're feeling. You know what I'm saying? Like when I heard Adorn by Miguel, I love that song. I just love the way he, like the word adorn. Always like, I like titles. I like when a song, my favorite part about songs is when a song is when it starts and to the end, it's that story, that arc, like the whole song. I went on the ride. Because some songs is like made to just, you put them on, but some songs are made where they draw you into the, like Bohemian Rhapsody, or like, like when you hear We Are the Champions, you know what I mean? You feel like you fucking won a football. I mean, you could be sitting in your car and you feel like you won a championship game immediately when you hear We Are the Champions, my friend, like a soaring. But the whole song, when you ever read the lyrics to We Are the Champions, like, time after time, like the way he broke down that arc, you know, I love songs that feel like that, whether they're about love or they're about winning or they're about like champion or like that's. But I think the miseducation of Lauryn Hill, being that it tapped a lot of my frequency, as far as like hip hop, it had like a kind of a reggae thing going on, you know what I mean? Because Lauren had that kind of like Fuji's energy. And then it was a 10-10 singing and rapping, which we always talk about, which is like, I don't think no one 10, she's a 10-10 rapper singer. Yeah, I think that was one of the I think that the Fuji's that shit, like I think and yeah, I think that hit me the most. And just like, you know, Prince, Mike, just Stevie, you know what I mean? Like living for the city and songs like that, because that's a story. You know, a boy is born down Mississippi, like a story. I like when you hear it like Journey, like when you hear motherfucking when you hear what's our famous Journey song? Jesus, how am I going blank?
Don't Stop Believing.
Don't Stop Believing. Like when it just comes on, you know what I mean?
Old Town Girl.
Yeah, the Old Town Girl. You know, and like even though I like stories. I like when it's a love story and it's through and through. But yeah, I think I would say Miseducation. If I had to sum it up, an album that fucked me up, and College Dropout. I remember when College Dropout came out, it unlocked. I didn't know you can make that when that came out.
Nobody did.
I didn't know that happened. Like when I never forget. Shout out to my brother Raheem, DJ Hype King. His big brother Omar pulled up on me that day, and he was playing that album, and I never forget the smile he had on his face when he was playing Drug Dealing Just to Get By, Stack Your Money Till It Reach Sky High. And he was smiling, bro. And I was like, damn, this nigga singing that chorus and the kids and the way the music and the sample. College Dropout blew me away. It blew the Miseducation, College Dropout, that shit blew me away. That first Kanye album, I still think Kanye is like probably one of the greatest artists of all time, all genre. Absolutely. I can say that at this point. I just don't know nobody who's produced quality at that level for that long, while breaking grounds, while being innovative, while doing some shit where people might be like, this is whack, but I don't care. I'm a rock star. Like Yeezus, that album is like, his throwaway. Them Daft Punk.
Yeah, no, I love that album.
Just that, how it came on and he was like, Yeezy season approaching, fuck whatever y'all been wearing. Like this Ye's whole approach to like artistry is like how I think all of us want to approach artistry. You know what I mean? Like he's a
different persona per album, and he goes to 11 with each one of them.
I feel like he's a lightning rod for us, for like creatives to let us know, like you can do shit like this though. Like, and who gives a fuck if you do? You know what I mean? And guess what? You can be at the top of your career and make a weird ass album if you want. And if they don't like it now, no one liked 808s and Heartbreaks when it came out. Oof. Now it's like started a whole new genre of music.
Yep.
Everybody was like, this shit is whack. He's using auto-tune like T-Pain and all. It was such a small level of thinking. Now fast forward, how many 808, how many people are using those 909 drums and all of that shit that he was doing with of course his cast, the Baskers and all of those guys, like
it's like, come on.
And then Cuddy's pen, like, but Kanye's ability to put all those people in one plate, people don't understand the science of putting all those talented people in one space and coming out with something good. You could put, you know how it is sometimes, you could put a lot of great people in one room and it comes out shit.
The old writing camps.
The old writing camps. Let's stick all the 1% writers and producers in a room. I guarantee if we put Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Steph Curry, and fucking and everybody, Tim Duncan in a game, they're gonna win. It's like, dog, sometimes niggas don't know who to pass the ball to and like that. Like it just
the all-star games aren't always the most entertaining.
And it's exactly as soon as
first scrimmage,
tip-off, you're like, man, it's gonna be great. But then it's like, but Ye knew how to use. He's the greatest because he knew how to use everybody for what they were good at without doing too much.
Yeah,
that is, bro. How
Michael and Quincy were the same way, you know. Like it started. It sounds to me like it started with them having this theatrical vision of exactly how the project was going to be, and then they tapped into it on every single song. Same thing with Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Like there's skits in it, there's stories in it. I mean, even James Corden theme through the whole thing, and that's something that, I mean, Spotify just kind of fucked that up by making it all singles and playlist based that you don't really get that full picture. And sometimes you need to hear the song before and the song after to appreciate the song in the middle.
The cast, to me, when you look at any great album, whether it's Miseducation, College Dropout, you look at songs like from the era of Chic and the great Nile Rodgers, and you look at Stevie. If you look at the cast on these projects, down to the fucking background singers, when you listen to Good Times from Chic, and you listen to hear all those Nile Rodgers and Bernard Edwards produced songs, We Are Family, look at the cast. That's Luther Vandross doing the vocal. That's Luther doing backgrounds and doing all the vocal production on all of those records. That's why they sound like that. Everybody dance, do clap your hands, clap your hands.
You are believable. It can change everything, man.
It changes.
That's the beauty of it. That's what we talk about. We talked about earlier the DJ to producer pipeline, the engineer to producer pipeline, but there's also a session singer to artist pipeline, and this is like, and now there's also a session musician to producer pipeline. There's a lot of people,
bro. That's what you're making that. Go ahead, bro.
Play guitar. They used to like play guitar on beats and stuff like they used to be in the studio just in the back, and now they produce and hit records. So we gotta always, even us as producers, artists, songwriters, you gotta always show love and respect, even if they just taking out the trash right now, because you never know.
No, bro. When I look at, even I could tap into my family. Like if you go to Eric Donaldson, Cherry O Baby, that Rolling Stones cover and all those, the original record, that was my dad and my uncle playing backgrounds on all those. I literally come from session musicians who played on hundreds of reggae records that became standard, that rock and roll artists covered and other people covered, and these guys, but if you look at, it's always, and no matter the genre or anything, if you look at timeless pieces of work, check the cast. It's never, but the cast had one person they followed and respected enough at that time. People respected Quincy. People respect Kanye musically and artistry, artist level.
Motown, they respected Barry and all
Barry. Oh my God! Let's not even. I forgot to even bring up. Oh, you just took my breath away. If you talking about that Motown band, and when you talking about Smokey, everybody respected these guys, bro. And Ashley Ford and Simpson. You know what I mean? Like all the Motown backing band.
The Funk Brothers, James Jamerson, Jack Astor, Bob Babbitt, Joe Masana, Joe Humper, Errol Van Dyke. They
even
were
down
like
to the Philly sound, the Gamble and Huff, the Thomas Bells, the Dexter Wanzells. You know what I mean? Shot the Pop. Like, those guys are like, even when you look at when Jimmy Iovine was an engineer for many of those rock albums that came out at one point. He was working as a tracking engineer for a lot of those albums. That's why I say, people, when y'all listen to these albums, stop glazing these artists. You know what I mean? And glazing that, you need to look at the cast of the people making these fucking albums, no matter the genre. I guarantee if you dig into any album down to the Beatles, when they had when they had Ringo let what's the name play, Billy Preston play drums on a lot of those Beatles records. When you look up the cast of some of these albums, you're going to see greatness, and you're going to see some of the people that move on later to have careers, like we said with Luther. Luther was the guy for vocal production and backgrounds in New York City at one point. He was the guy you went to go gather them girls and put them those 4 or 5 part harmonies together on those disco records and shit. That's why they sound like that. It wasn't just the motherfuckers in there. It's because Luther was doing that shit. You know what I mean? So he was the one. And look, and even like we said earlier about the Teenage Dream album, you had Benny Blanco on that album. You had Ammo Pro on that album. You had Kojak on that album. You had Max and Luke. You had 7 or 8 Goliaths attacking. Then you had Katie writing and Bonnie writing, great writers. You had different people coming in, Esther Deans. And you had that is, if you ever want to make a great piece of audio work, people, on this live from the Audio Amigos podcast, get a good cast, get a good tracking engineer, get session musicians that trust you and follow you, have an artist that you believe in, and you put that fucking band together and you gel that motherfucker like Phil's hair on a Sunday morning going to fucking mass. Exactly. And you fucking make that shit. You know what I mean? You make that shit. You feel me? That's how you make that shit. You dig?
There it is. There it
We talked a
is.
lot today.
We talked a lot. Yo,
today.
Phil, anybody got any? I could throw y'all an alley-oop question if y'all just wanted a content bait, Phil. If it's anything where you can seem like a genius. So, what do you think about anybody got any of those where they got just want to get off real quick and just seem like the man? If not, I think we, might be all right.
No,
like
I'm
if there's any topics you wanted to touch that we didn't touch, Phil, I can alley-oop you a question.
Let me ask Phil a guitar question or something. I like layering guitars or some shit like that. He needs I need
just
what?
Have a content.
Okay, like I would say, Phil, you're a person that has sit up, Phil. Have some damn grace and dignity.
I'm trying to be in the center of the screen here.
Phil,
I stood up too much.
Phil, you're a person who's worked in pop music and rhythmic music a lot in your career. You have a rock background, but also you have a hip hop background too. You know about that 808 and that guitar blend. What do you how do you feel about the current state of rock music and the punk scene that is it seems like rock and roll and punk, that we all love that genre, that 90s punk sound, punk pop sound is having it's re-emerging. And what do you feel about that?
I mean, rock music in general is definitely having a massive resurgence right now. I think more so than any time in the last probably 10 plus years. 100%. I don't think it's just in, I'm hearing all kinds of new bands and new rock artists that are doing like really next level stuff. And, whether it's like you said, like the punk pop world or the heavier metal, whatever, just rock in general. There's so many there's so much new shit that I think is fire. And I think people are, when I'm scrolling TikTok and Instagram, I'm seeing it everywhere. I'm seeing YouTube. I'm seeing all kinds of like people getting into rock production and mixing. And I feel like there's this whole, hunger out there for really just real instruments and organic music.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. How do you feel about like seeing kids play instruments again, like wanting to be in bands again? I know even like all of us in here come from some type of like being around bands or part of bands or groups, or all of us here come from some type of musical like we all either play or play a instrument or a part of things that play instruments. How do you feel about like just seeing kids want to play live music again and play instruments and shit?
I think it's awesome. And I think that you could credit social media for that resurgence. People think it's cool to like pick up a guitar and, make a TikTok video or whatever, or make a song. And, I see, I scroll Instagram, I see, I used to love growing up watching drum videos. I used to love watching like, whatever, Carter Buford. I don't know why Carter Buford is the first one that came to mind, but like, all these, Brooks Wackerman, who else? Who's the guy that played for Jay-Z for a while? One of my favorite drummers, John Blackwell.
Right?
Yeah. I used to love watching videos of those guys.
I used to have those tapes
all the time. Yeah. Who else? Tony Royster.
I
can go on.
Dennis
it's
Chambers
been a while,
used to.
Dennis Chambers.
I was waiting for you to say Tony.
Yeah.
Tony Royster Jr., of course.
And you're a drummer. I'm a drummer. I think Bluke is more guitars and keys, and Mikey's keys and singing. But I think it's cool too, just to see kids want to play.
And yeah, I'm scrolling Instagram all the time now, and I see, I'll see like some kid like playing some drum solo or some like, throwback like Under Oath song or whatever, or some cool record with like a sick drum part, and they're just like, there's a kid I saw on YouTube that played the entire Tool discography in one take.
Cool.
Which he live streamed it. He was doing it like every day. He would live stream and try to get through it's like a 7.5 hour long video, which I mean, it's a pretty incredible.
That'll probably help him for touring one day when you want to go on the road.
Yeah, I mean, just even as a mental exercise, to be able to commit yourself to something that extreme and be able to pull it off is pretty amazing. I see a lot of people on Instagram. I'm all day I scroll Instagram and I see like sick drummers and sick guitar players, sick bass players.
We do got to get them to concentrate on licks though nowadays, because we got a lot of fast playing and skill and finesse and all of that.
Bring back the riffs.
Bring back that riff that bring back that ignorant riff. Play like you're fucking have three fingers.
No, but it's cool to see that. People used to say like
100%.
Rock music is dead, live instruments. Everyone. Even me, like I'm. I would only play guitar. I play guitar all the time now, but I used to just play guitar like in the studio, come up with a simple part for the chorus of the song, and then put my guitar down, and then just be like synth and you know what I mean. But there was many years I went through my life where I didn't really practice guitar all that much. It was just a tool that I had that I would use when I needed it. I
mean, the other day I mic'd up some drums. I told you, and I just made a bunch of drum loops just with live drums, and that shit, the soul, the connection I felt just doing that and making my own loop. It's just a different. It's a different. It's a different.
We're all fortunate that we've all played in live band settings, whether it's from church, the garage, whatever it might be. Phil and I used to be in a band back in the day.
Yeah.
Even band practice, even when band practice sucked, it was still fun.
So fun.
And there's a lot of people out there picking up their first guitar. There's a reason too. Guitar Center's a horror. That place sucks. There's a reason why it's still in business.
Me and Phil were
Lunch just went.
But
it's a different experience going to Guitar Center in, where were we again?
We're in Hialeah. We went to the one in Hialeah
versus going to like the one on Hollywood Boulevard in LA. It's totally different.
When you went and rode with an adult to Guitar Center and you got out that car and you smelt that carpet and you walked in that shit, you was like, yo, this is, and you know what's so cool? When me and Phil were there, remember those two kids that walked in? There was kids in there with their parents, like looking at keyboards and pressing shit.
It used to be you.
And I was me, and they're just banging on this but I'm still like and going straight to the drums. We were in our own worlds for like an hour,
like jamming, yo.
No, I turned around and Phil was over there, and we're like, we were just kids, and then you see the guitar lessons in the back, and you see the kids coming from school like with the guitar, and that shit brought a tear to me. Just knowing that people still care that much to sign their kids up for guitar lessons, and there was a little chunky little Cuban kid looking like a little Cuban little Mexican kid just coming there like. You just run into the back, chunky as hell. Kids, and now we are in the golden age of analog crossing with digital. I play vinyl, so I know vinyl sales are up. My nieces and people are asking for vinyl. People want to hold and feel the music. They want to. They want
especially with all this AI. They want to feel it. See a real. They want to see a real person play it live, perform it live. It's 100% real. It's human.
Live music never took a hit. It never took a hit. Because people want to get out their house and they want to go watch and experience. And I hope when people listen to us and they understand from us being, somewhat successful at what we've done enough to make a living off of this, it pays off. Play your instruments, buy a guitar, buy a drum for your cousin and your son, send them the keyboard, piano. First of all, learning the instrument or learning buy him a laptop, teach him a DAW. That will change his life. You want him to stay off the streets or don't want your kid to be fucking stealing car radios or some shit? Teach that motherfucker Fruity Loops or something or get him
download BandLab.
Download BandLab.
Fall in love with music, man. Even over video games. If like that's the toughest thing, I think like a lot more. I think like the next wave of great musicians might be all female because video games are so good. But it's like that love you get when you first, because when I first pick up the saxophone and you hear yourself playing, you're like, yo, it's something there. I can get better. And you just get better and you grow from that.
I almost want to learn I want to learn trumpet. I don't know why I've been
being able to express yourself.
Learning trumpet.
Bro, trumpet's not that hard. Like being able to express yourself in an instrument is nothing like that, bro. Expressing yourself via another vehicle than just talking.
That's why when Andre 3000, when Andre made that flute album and he learned it, like he already played guitars, like y'all don't understand what that did for his soul. He didn't care about what you thought. I got to get this off. You know what I mean? When you got something burning inside of you as a creator, you know what I mean? Look at Phil dropping his joints. It ain't only just because you want to be. It's motherfucker want to get some shit out your energy. You want to just energize yourself.
It's fun.
It's fun, and that's why
I've been dropping them beat videos, bro. Because it's just like old Dipset beats that would have never came out, but it's just me talking to the younger me when I couldn't make beats like that.
When this shit stopped being fun, to quote, I don't know if it was Drake. I'm gonna quote him. His album came out. I hope it does well for him. I'm not on the beef shit. I'm a huge Kendrick fan. Drake has contributed to the culture too. We want to practice positivity on our podcast about all musicians,
creative, bro.
Because anybody who's ever took a chance to put themselves out there creatively to the world deserves respect at that. And whether I like it after you put it out is up to me, but I still give you the respect that you bared your creations to the world. But as soon as we stop having fun with it, we done with it. So you gotta have fun. You guys gotta have fun. Go get the little fucking MPC sampler and make 100 fucking soul beats if you want. Oh, don't do the whole nobody's taking these type of, understand the market that you're in, but still shoot some jump shots, man. Make some badass beats
for you.
It
don't
ain't
be scared
always
to make a trash beat, bro, because it's gonna lead to something else or a trash song. Take the pressure off yourself, man.
I write a lot of trash, even though I don't. I'm gonna just lie to y'all right now to make you feel better. I write no, but I do. We do all make a lot of garbage.
I didn't been in my dog where I'm laughing like, yo, this beat sucks. But then I found that synth and that making that process of making that beat, and it helped me with another beat that actually sounds good. Like it's all a part of the process.
You just said a gem.
No, it's all a part of the growing process, bro. And it's just like, even what you was talking about, like with the Drake thing, it's like we've been in this music industry. Well, I've been in here since I was 18. I'm almost 15, 16 years in. It's like, how do you stay inspired? Like Drake, how do you stay inspired 15 years after being the biggest artist in the world? Like burnouts happen and your audience expects stuff from you. And it's just like, where do you find that? And that's what like a big part of like, the conversation should be.
Like, you gotta have fun. It's hard when it gets competitive because, of course, all of us on this podcast and you out there, we want to compete.
We want the number one, just like everybody else.
Look, we've had them before. You know what I mean? I remember the day I had a number one at Billboard and I was with Mikey actually the next day. And once again, my dick felt this big that day. I mean, I really was the best.
You can't put a price on that feeling.
Mikey said something when we was eating. We were at our favorite fish spot. We're not going to say what kind, because there's a lot of controversy in the world, but we were at our favorite fish spot, and Mikey, I remember you looked at me, nigga. That nigga said, "You're the best writer in the world today. For today, you are the best. You're better than everybody today." And that shit was facts. I remember you said that. I was like, damn, that is true. That day, you are better than everybody. Your song won the lottery that day.
It won the lottery, bro.
Yeah, you put it in the little thing and the ball bounced around and your shit, you hit the number. You know what I mean? And we all want to compete because all of us in this chat have had big songs on big artists before, worked with that level of caliber of artists, and we want to compete. But sometimes you got to just go in your fucking room and fuck around and have some fun and not be stepping in the Olympics is every 4 years, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, every day can't be the Olympics. You know what I mean? The Olympics is every 4 years for a reason. That means you got to train for 4 years and then you go play your heart out. You know what I mean? So that's how the studio should be to me. Coming in where we're at, making beats, writing songs, being dumb. And then when we get our number called, yo, Bolooki, you're working with blah, blah, blah today. Yeah, you got to make some art. You working with blah, blah, blah today. Bolooki is 100% prepared because he's been training. He's been shooting jump shots. Bolooki has more guitar pedals than every human being in Nashville right now. Every piece of equipment, he know how it all works. And when his number's called, he going to play all them synths and all them guitar pedals are going to come into use as Phil and Mikey and all of us. But, if you took anything away from the Audio Amigos, is practice and have fun with this shit. You dig?
See.
But we had a good pod today.
Yeah. Should I end the recording? We had 2 hours.
We had a lot of bases. Let's leave. Let's this Lunch Money Lewis. We got Andrew Bolooki, our tech specialist, Mikey, top shelf producer, and Phil, top shelf all around hot taker and everything. And this is the Audio Amigos. We'll be back. Yeah, fucking log on to. We might put. We're gonna put this bitch on Patreon. So, fucking log on to our Patreon, subscribe to every fucking thing, YouTube, everything, if you want some real fucking life experience and don't have yourself in bad contracts and making fucked up ass music. You dig? Peace and love.
Peace.